1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show.
Be held responsible for that. So I would say sometimes the heart can be detached from us, or the mind could be, it could operate on its own. And for instance, if we're provoked, we could do something that would later regret. We would think, well, hang on a minute, if I was in my right mind, I wouldn't do that. And other people might testify to it. They might say, well, actually, I find it unbelievable that he done that. I mean, if I didn't see it, if I wasn't presented with the evidence to show that this person had actually done that, I would say, I would actually swear on my life that he never did it. And so sometimes our minds or our hearts can be detached and you know, just do his own thing. I'm not saying we can't be held responsible for that. We are responsible for it, because it's our body that actually carries out the actual crime in the end. But then it's conceived somewhere where we've not really paid attention to it, and we've allowed it to fester and grow and become a full-blown desire, or whatever you call it. So our minds can be detached, so we need to guard it. I would say the difference between somebody being a pedophile and somebody not, and somebody else, is because one of them is acted on it. Somebody else might have thought about it and thought, "Ooh, I shouldn't really act on that." But if you dwell on it, if you let that desire grow, you know, it becomes hard to not act on it, which is why we need to rail in whatever thoughts that we've got. We don't let it run wild. Do it, because then it can cause all sorts of trouble. So I think 100% we're held responsible, but then it's only us that would allow it to go that far, you know. So,
I mean, I think it's interesting, two things you said there about diminished responsibility, because clearly the courts, the law courts, do take account of someone's plea, often on a murder case, of diminished responsibility. And then the only way they can establish anything at all is by bringing in experts, psychiatrists, psychologists. And if that person charged, say, with murder, is thought to be not in control of his or her actions, then a verdict of guilty but with diminished responsibility. So they would normally perhaps receive an indefinite period in a secure mental hospital or facility. But that's not to say, of course, although that kind of approach does seem to suggest that sometimes our brains, or the brains of people in that situation, act outside of their otherwise normal logical self. That doesn't in any way, in my view, mean that everybody with whatever that problem that person has in their brain, in their mind, not everybody by any means will go and carry out a murder. So it's one where the courts, I believe, are very, very careful, because it's very easy, particularly nowadays, for somebody to claim that that a mental health condition actually premeditated the crime that was committed. And so it's not an easy one. You also mentioned the mind. I mean, that's quite interesting. What do we mean by the mind? My understanding really is that the mind is either the brain or is part of.
The leader of our gang will make the show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything Custos, and fund the aim of everything Custos.
Also mention the mind. I mean, that's quite interesting. What do we mean by the mind? My understanding really is that the mind is either the brain or it's part of the brain. I certainly wouldn't think it is the heart. And on that point, I mean, the heart is a wonderful organ that's incredible. You know, we could go into raptures about this, all the organs of our body, the brain and the heart, but this little pump that's pumping blood around our bodies 24/7, every moment of every day of every year that we live, and it can go on for 75, 85, 95, even 100 years, which, when you think about it, is phenomenal as a piece of living tissue, an organ of the human body. And of course, in a way, it's always been romanticized in songs and in poems. Indeed, in some of my songs, I might say that I love someone with all my heart. That's a well-known expression that might be used. But when you think of it, the heart really, the love one is talking about, that you love someone, must be in the mind, or to me, in the brain. But it wouldn't wash, would it, to sing "I love you with all my brain"? It just wouldn't make any. It wouldn't have that touch. We like to think of the heart as the central feature of our bodies, which in a way it is, as the romantic organ, the organ that brings out love. But actually, that's not my opinion, my view at all. I think that the brain, and this comes back to what can the brain do. The heart, really, I do love someone with all my brain is what it should be. And I think the brain also contains the mind. But it is, a phenomenal organ. And I think so often it is separate from what we appreciate. If we take, for example, a movement of our body, you move your arm. If I move my arm up like that, or anything, but let's say my arm, all we think is, well, I've moved my arm. We may not even consciously think that. We turn our head. We're not thinking, oh, I've just turned my head. Everything is kind of beautifully instinctive, so we don't even have to think about these very smooth things that we do. But going back to moving your arm, the brain depends on millions of nerve fibers to register contraction and stretching when we move our arm, for example. It has to register all that. And there's a vast mechanism, vast electrical energy going through under the surface. But the brain only permits us to feel, oh, my arm is in a different place now, if we were to think anything at all. But there's a vast, perplexing amount of neural activity going on for any movement, anything that
show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything Custis and fund the aim of everything Custis.